Hello everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. I am Captain Logan. Joining me this evening, as always, is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ of the Martinezes. Hello, DJ.
Hello, sir.
What's up, buddy? We are broadcasting on an unusual day today. It's Tuesday, and we thought we would do an extra show this week. I was talking about doing this last week with the quarantine and everything. Figured I would try to do some more content and do more interacting with folks as everybody's lonely and bored at home. And we've been talking about doing an extra show for the longest time, so I thought now would be the time to try it. And if this goes really well, we're going to try this week and maybe next week if we're both available, and see how it goes. And if it works out well, we might eventually start doing regular double shows, a couple shows a week. So that's what we're kicking around right now. Got a few people in the comments already. Welcome, everybody. There's One and Only Productions. Kellen O'Rourke is here. Carl Maxey is here. I see Big Blue Boy Scout. John Ty, John Early. Lots of folks already there. Blue Dragon 5 said he finished my novel already. So he must have had some free time on his hands. That was 10 hours. He's already knocked that out. Well done. Hope you enjoyed it, man. Anyway, so tonight we're going to do a rapid fire show, and I'm going to want to just get into it straight away, DJ. See how many questions we can get knocked out in an hour, starting from the point where I start actually taking the questions. What was our record from last time we did a rapid fire show?
Our record was 52 because we tried to beat the first time you did this. You shot for 52 and you got 52. And then the second time, we tried to beat it, and we got exactly 52 again. So our goal is at least 53 tonight.
So I accidentally lied to someone earlier then. And I thought we'd done more than 2 of these. You in your thumbnail put in Rapid Fire 3, and I was like, oh, we've only done this twice. I thought we'd done this 3 or 4 times, and I didn't go back and look. And somebody left a comment earlier on social media when I announced that I was doing this and said, well Cap, like, we know how that's going to work out. Like, you never do anything rapid fire. You always take all day long to answer a question. And he was like, I mean, it's our fault, too, with the kinds of questions that we ask, but that's not going to work out. And I said, well, now hold on a moment. Like, I responded, and I was like, we've done a few of these, and I've beaten my record every time. So we've only done 2, and I got the same score twice. So I did not beat my record every time, and I'm an absolute fraud.
Hey, that's impressive, though. 52 questions in an hour, that's almost one every minute.
Yeah, a little over a minute. So we're going to see if we can beat that tonight. And obviously, some of this is up to you guys, because if you ask me a question that just cannot be answered in 25 seconds or less, it's going to be difficult to manage that. And anything that's really complex that sounds like an old school GNN question, I will answer as quickly as possible, but kind of table and maybe see if it comes up on a show where I've got more time, where if there's really good questions, we can get away with only doing 12 or 8 or 3. Anyway, as always, if you want to make sure that your question gets answered on the show, you can leave us a super chat. We sure appreciate that. Anybody that feels like doing that helps keep things moving and chugging along here on the channel. But of course, don't feel the need to do that. We will answer as many pre-written things as humanly possible. So just leave a question for DJ. And you know what, DJ, I should start saying this. DJ is more likely to find them if you tag him in the chat box, in the live chat box. It should say @DJ, and then he's more likely to find that. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and just jump right in straight away. DJ, the clock is beginning. Let's get going. Here we go.
All right. First one, Blue Dragon 5. Cap, what was the genesis of edible states and the most difficult chapter to complete? So I guess we can count that as 2.
Yeah. Sure, why not? So I'm not totally sure what exactly inspired me in the first place, except I just find like food and the notion of like talking food and anthropomorphized food really amusing. And one day it just hit me like it would be really neat to write a story about that. And then I thought, well, that sounds impossible. And so the fact that I didn't think I could do it made me really want to figure out how to do it. And I mean, I racked my brain for months trying to figure out what the internal logic would be and how exactly to handle it. Is that a fantasy thing? Is it a sci-fi thing? How in the world could you make it a sci-fi thing where it's a what-if statement? What if people turn... And that is the book, what if that happened? But, like, the sci-fi what-if question is... there's a real world science way it happens. I could not figure out a way to do that, especially with the way I wanted to tell that story. And then the most difficult chapter to complete was, I mean, it has to be one of the darker ones, the more kind of gut-wrenchy ones. the Lawrence Massacre is probably one of them. And then the one, I don't know, like, they all wrote real fast, but some of them were just kind of like, I don't know, hurt my feelings in the moment while I was writing them. Like, that was honestly a really easy book to write. I didn't get stuck any night I was working on that. It was 2 hours every night, or a certain word count. I think I was shooting for 2,000 words, and or was it just 1,000? I forget. It's been 3 years. I think I did 2,000 words a night, and I managed my word count goal almost every night. It was a much easier project than I expected it to be, but I mean, I thought about it all day long. Like, I had a good sense of at least the logic and certain ideas when I sat down. Although there were some nights, and I didn't outline anything with that book. I mean, there were certain nights where I sat down at my computer and had no idea what the entry was going to be, who the character was going to be. I'll tell you this too real quick for anybody that's read it. You might have noticed that it's 31 entries. I started with that number from the very beginning because that's Baskin-Robbins. That's the number of flavors that Baskin-Robbins used to always have, 31 flavors. So I said, whatever this book is, I'm going to write 31 chapters. And that's what I did. All right, what else?
All right. Thoughts on Ezra Miller choking a fan? Sorry, I'm just reading these for the first time. Do you think he will get kicked out of The Flash?
It's hard to say, and I don't know anything about that beyond the headline. I saw a picture. Like, I heard that happened, and apparently it was a female fan, no less. It was some fangirl he got angry with and choked her out. I don't know the story. I didn't look into it. I heard people talking about that, and I was doing something else, and I didn't look into it. But that was the first thought I had, of course, was, well, that's not going to look real good for your image, DC, if you keep him around. I don't know. He always seemed, in interviews and stuff, really immature to me, and I'm not, I want to be more shocked by this than I am. I guess I'm surprised he went that far and did something that crazy, but he seems like a really immature person, and I would have loved to have been wrong about that, but here we are. Yeah, it would be strange if they kept him in, and considering they can't get that project off the ground anyway, I don't know how close it finally was. Like, they finally had, they kept changing directors. They've had 19 directors with that movie, and they finally, it seemed like, we're maybe getting some traction, but I don't trust that with that project. So anyway, I don't have anything insightful to say about that because I didn't really read the story. I just heard it happen. What else you got?
I got a question from Kellen O'Rourke.
Damn.
Do you think WB will recast The Flash? Well, that kind of goes hand in hand with what you said. So
yeah, I think probably so. And also, it would be a good excuse to get further away from DCEU. Like, I could see Warner's kind of looking for a reason to get rid of him. I think he's the most expendable actor that they had in that stable of people that they started with, that they were planning on continuing to use, because the Flash, I mean, some people liked him, certainly, but he wasn't the breakout character in that movie in the way Aquaman was. And I mean, Aquaman didn't get made because of that. It got made because it was already getting going, and so that was going to have to come out. But I don't think it would be a problem at all for them to make a movie that has absolutely nothing to do with that. And in fact, it might be cool, it might be smart of them to do the same thing they've done with all their other heroes that they've managed to get out completely away from the DCEU, with the exception of Wonder Woman, but her movies are still like this, and make it another period piece. I'll put Flash in the 70s or the 50s or, somewhere else, and have it once again be another completely disconnected from any kind of continuity movie. And they may use they might have been looking for an excuse, or they might not want him involved anymore because that happened, but they also might think, well, maybe we should go a different direction with this anyway, and this is the perfect opportunity to not use him. And I'm hoping that happens, because I wasn't the biggest fan of that performance myself. But
cool. Mutale, what is the... Okay. Cap can't answer that. Cap doesn't know what the welder's love life is like. Big Blue Boy Scout. Do you think DC could do Darkseid in a live-action movie and not have him come off as a Thanos ripoff to general audiences?
I would wait a good long time before I did it. The good news is there's not a good place to put him right now. Well, I guess... I guess that Fourth World movie is supposed to happen. I guess he could show up in that. But but barring that, like, it'll be a while before they probably even think to use Darkseid in something. But yeah, I mean, I think no matter what you do with that, there are going to be people not in the know with comics that are going to go, he's a Thanos ripoff. But, because I'm pretty sure Darkseid comes first. I think Thanos is much more of a Darkseid ripoff. But the way to get, like, when people see commercials for that, initially they're going to go, oh, big, scary, cosmic blue guy, he's just DC's answer to Thanos. When they see the movie, what I would hope that they would do is not go down the same road that Marvel did with Thanos and not try to make Darkseid relatable or sympathetic or endearing in some way. Like, that is immediately the way to separate them. All you have to do is make Darkseid exactly what he is, and you're probably good. Darkseid doesn't need to be charismatic. That's not that character.
John Ty, what is your opinion on the phrase, "It doesn't matter who started it"?
Interesting. A lot of these kinds of questions coming up lately. Just, here's a phrase I hear in my everyday life. Cap, do you think this is nonsense? Is this BS or not? It doesn't matter who started it. I guess it depends on the situation, right? This is a depends question. Like, it depends on what the situation is. Like, I can't answer that without, I don't know, this is like one of those math questions where, like, it needs more information. Yeah, I don't know. What's the scenario? Throw me another one.
Okay. I'm going to jump to Super Chats. We got some Super Chats. 5590ERS. Cap, what is your favorite DS9 episode?
You sounded like Ursa from Superman. Super Chats! What is my favorite what?
DS9 episode.
My favorite DS9 episode is an episode called The Visitor, which is, in my opinion, the best stuff that never happened episode in Star Trek, of which there are many. There's a long track record, a long history of tradition of episodes where you think it's going to matter, and then when you get to the end of the episode, because we changed status quo too much, and it's a time travel thing, we find a way to wipe it away so that it never matters. But The Visitor does that in the best possible way. It's an episode about Jake Sisko, who's the son of Ben Sisko, there's an accident where his father disappears and gets basically sucked into like a purgatory sort of thing in space-time, and he grows up and becomes an old man, and so it's Sirach Lofton at first, and then he becomes, well, it opens with the future version, but he becomes Tony Todd, and Tony Todd's an actor I love, and this is my favorite Tony Todd performance also, and he, throughout, you see him as an old man, and then you go back in time, and we keep going through all the various points in his life where he basically wastes his life trying to get his father back when he should be living a life, and he's able to bring his dad back a couple of times, and every time Sisko says, what are you doing? You're wasting your life. Don't worry about me. Like, live a life. And I'm a sucker for father-son stories. It's a brilliant father-son story, and it's funny because DS9 is a really archy show, of course. It's a really serialized narrative, but my favorite episode of that show is a standard one-off Star Trek episode.
All right. John Early, you won't believe me, but I told... Maybe I'm making sure this is actually a question. That's not a question. What is your opinion on sweat shorts?
Time's a ticking here, DJ. Sweat shorts? I got nothing.
You stumped him.
I mean, I don't personally wear shorts of any kind, and I don't really wear sweatpants either, except occasionally if I go to the gym and I'm exercising. I don't have a gym membership right now, so I'm not really wearing sweatpants even when I'm exercising. But the majority of what I do for exercise is just walking briskly, DJ, which I don't really need sweatpants for. So yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say here. That feels like a leading question where there's something I'm supposed to say, and I don't really know what that is.
All right. Well, see if you have something to say about Kellen O'Rourke's question.
Wow.
Do you think Hank Pym should have been the villain of the first Ant-Man film?
Not necessarily. I have this thing where I don't like to rewrite stories. Like, I think that movie is fine. It certainly could have been better. It certainly could have told the story it was telling in a more compelling way, I think, and in a way that makes more sense. I think there's a couple of weird kind of broken plot points in that film. I would have loved and it was kind of nice that we finally got a like generational hero in that, and they found a way around it, even though Tony Stark was kind of supposed to be the first superhero, and I guess Captain America before that. So like, I like the way they managed to do the generational hero thing, but I would have preferred a Hank Pym character piece. So I guess I wouldn't have wanted Hank Pym to be the villain. I would have wanted Hank Pym to be Ant-Man, and get a morally ambiguous superhero that was morally ambiguous in a different way than Tony Stark. That would have been nice. I wouldn't have needed them to go all the way to he beats his wife and stuff, but just a kind of like, actual jerk face who is sort of difficult to sympathize with, but at the end of the day, you're still intrigued by him. You're still interested in him. Like, that would have been a good place to do, like, the hero that is not exactly sympathetic, but you understand how he got that way. So yeah, more of like a pseudo anti-hero, like walking the line kind of character with Hank Pym.
All right, from That Psycho reviewer, what's your favorite color?
Purple!
3 exclamation points and question marks. Purple!
Dark purple. Or deep purple. And not my favorite band either, Deep Purple, but it is my favorite color. I saw Deep Purple in concert when I was in high school.
Oh. Blue Dragon 5.
They were playing with Fog Hat. It was like a hair band reunion.
Any progress on your off-the-books game project for a certain occasion?
Yes, so a couple days ago, I did a stream where I showed off the progress I had made on a fighting game that I'm working on for my son for his birthday. He's not watching this right now, and I don't think he'll go back to this show. I hope he doesn't look at the channel, or I'm gonna completely have, ruin that for him for his birthday. But he hasn't looked at the channel in a while. I think I'm good until his birthday. But anyway, Ben, Mr. Cool, turned me on to, he's one of our patrons. He turned me on in the Discord to this like fan-made program called Mugen, where you can design your own 2D fighting game, and it's really super fun, and I've gotten kind of obsessed with it the last few days, and it's kind of all I've been doing is just working on this fighting game. I'm having so much fun with it, and I want to do another stream soon because there were quite a few people that seemed interested in it and were throwing ideas at me, and I've already put quite a few characters that people threw at me in the program, so I want to show it to you. So I don't know, maybe tomorrow sometime I'll try to stream some more, or even late tonight. I don't know yet. I'm not planning on that, but it could happen, so I'll send out social media if I end up doing that. But anyway, yes, lots of progress on that. I've actually changed the scheme completely. I'm using a totally different motif now, because I found a motif for one of my favorite fighting games, and I can't believe it's perfect, and I'm so excited about it, and the theme of the game works a lot better for what I'm doing with Jason, so I'll show that off in the not-too-distant future. But yeah, I've been working on that like mad, and it's all I've been doing, and Jason and I are going to be the only people that really care. But I guess folks are having fun looking at it, but I don't know if I'm going to find, maybe I'll find a way to like zip it and try to put it up so that people can download it, because I've discovered that people have done that. I didn't think there was a way, DJ, for other people to play it, but there may be. I might be able to put it together in a zip file and then let people download it and play it. And if so, then the game, DJ, that you asked me to put together for Power Rangers, we would both be able to play. Not at the same time, but you'd be able to play it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see more of that because I'm really interested in that.
It's cool.
John Ty, Super Chat, what's your opinion? Okay.
Oh, no.
So he left he left that as a super chat, but I asked it earlier, but we already answered it. What's your opinion on the phrase "it doesn't matter who started it"? So thank you for the super chat. We already got it, and we will be moving on to One and Only Productions. A super chat. How easy/hard was it to set up your new Batcave?
I mean, it was just time consuming. The most difficult part about it, because this is an unfinished basement, and I want to leave it unfinished because I like the look of it, is getting stuff on the walls. I had to get command strips, and because obviously you can't put nails in, you can't put tacks in, it's concrete. And I was a little bit leery of the command strips. I didn't know if stuff would actually stay up on the walls. So far, so good. I've been here, 4 months now, going on 5. can't believe it's been that long. Although, Brandon was here last week, and he was like, Cap, you've been here a year now, right? And I was like, do you know how time works, Brandon? Like, it was November, dude. Like, yeah, that was really funny. But anyway, yeah, so Brandon turned me on, speaking of Brandon, to command strips, and I'm able to get, like, posters and things on the wall, so that's been working fine. And it was kind of a challenge getting the sound right in this area. And it's still a little bit more echoey than I would like, but it's not bad at all, especially when I'm using the Yeti as opposed to my camera mic. So yeah, but I've been tinkering with it constantly. It's just my constant ongoing project, and I'm having so much fun messing around with it. What else?
Christian Ogden gives a super chat.
Hi
Should
there, thank
every
you.
film in a shared universe matter? I've noticed the MCU films I tend not to like are the most skippable.
It's funny you say that. I don't agree with that. I think a couple of my favorites are movies that you don't necessarily have for the grander narrative. But no, I'm gonna say no. I mean, I think it's nice to have occasional off the beaten path. Well, you know what? I say that, but now I'm thinking of my favorites. Like Winter Soldier's really important. Black Panther's really important. No, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe all the ones I love do matter, DJ. But in theory, I like the idea that they don't have to. I mean, you're right. Like the Ant-Man movies are wholly skippable, and I don't think those are especially great, especially the second one, which is difficult for me to stay awake while watching. But yeah, but I don't think there's necessarily a correlation where because they're skippable, that's the reason you're not liking them. Like it may be that there's not, as much. What am I trying to say? Like. Maybe there's not as much of an effort in some ways in some places on those as there are in the ones that are making up the grander narrative. Maybe that does sort of end up happening, but it doesn't have to, right? Like I don't know. I don't think there has to be a correlation. I think we can do some really good one-offs.
Cool. We get a super chat from Nicholas.
Sorry, some of these are hard to do fast.
Yeah.
That was me trying not to go down a rabbit hole where I was like, I could talk about this for 5 minutes, but I don't want to. I can't.
Well, Nicholas asks and says, just saw the Red Sun movie, and yeah, I see what you mean, Cap. If you could have another Superman story apart from canon, what would it be?
Do you mean adapted?
I don't know.
Like, what do you mean by another Superman story? Like, are you asking me to make up one, or are you saying of ones that exist? Come back to us with that. DJ, I'll look for your comments, so don't feel the need to do a super chat or anything. But I don't understand the question. I'm gonna need you to elaborate.
All right. This is from John Ty. If people are in a fight, he's elaborating on his. If people are in a fight, does it matter who started it?
Oh, we're still doing this. So okay, I still need more information, and I don't really want to keep doing this. Like this is just. I'm sorry. Sometimes I think sometimes it kind of does. What do you think, DJ? I don't know how to answer this question.
I don't know. I guess it just matters. It matters if you believe in self-defense, or if you just think that even like if you're just supposed to be a pacifist and like take it and get beaten up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter in the sense that you want the fight to stop and you want it resolved. Like, I think there's a difference when parents say that versus other people. Like, if a couple siblings are fighting, like, I don't care who started it. Yeah, that's because Dad wants to go on with the rest of his day. He's got better things to do. Okay, that's why he doesn't care who started it. We're talking about the moral issues and things. Like sometimes if somebody starts a fight and you get into and they like force you into a fight, and you're in a place where like you can't walk away, both people shouldn't be punished the same. I guess I would say that, where like it doesn't matter who started it in the sense of it's that Uncle Ben thing from the first Spider-Man movie where he's like, well, you're not, he gets mad at Peter for finishing the fight, but he says you're not supposed to walk away. He kind of makes it really ambiguous. Like, if I'm Peter Parker, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do though? What do you want me to do in that situation? I get that he maybe went too far, was really cocky, although his uncle also wasn't standing there, didn't see exactly how it went down. I always thought that reaction was kind of weird as a parent. Well, you sure as hell finished it. Well, what did you want me to do? And so like, you're not supposed to walk away, but you're supposed to just like keep going till it's a stalemate? I don't understand. So anyway, yeah, this is impossible to answer without taking more time than I have. But I think, yes, at the end of the day, it probably does, at least to some degree, matter who started it.
All right. So he says. So Nicholas clarified.
Yeah.
He says something adapted. So an out of continuity Superman story that you like to see adapted.
Yeah, so we've already had All-Star, which is one of the greatest of all time, and I'm a broken record, but the big one I want is Earth 1 as a unprecedented 3-part movie would honestly be the best way to do that. I mean, we'll never see that happen, but like that was 3, like graphic novel length things. They were graphic novels, and each one could have been its own movie. I always thought that would make a great live action trilogy, so I would want to see that adapted as a trilogy, as 3 things. Beyond that, I would have to give it a little bit of thought, but that's my big one.
All right, next is from Valtuim. He says, do you think the MCU will ever do The Leader?
It's hard to say. I mean, they ought to. I mean, he's right there. We've talked about this for years and years, that like we established him in the second movie they made, and then, Incredible Hulk, and then he never came back. And we've talked about, me and Dan, me and DJ, we've talked about all kinds of scenarios where it would make sense to bring in the Leader. I think it could still happen. I think at this point it's liable to be recast, but maybe not even. I don't know.
At this point, it's likely to be in She-Hulk.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Sure.
But yeah,
I would like the Leader was going to be in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while. That was the big speculation during first season. That's who the Clairvoyant was going to turn out to be.
That would have been awesome.
And then it wasn't, because that show is Missed Opportunity, the series. I'm sorry, DJ. I was busy doing my job. What were you saying?
No, that's a great title. What's next? Is there here we go, Hawk Flame. Is there a retro video game that you enjoyed growing up but feel has not aged well?
Oh, yes. I mean many of them. I don't know, it's hard to come up with a really good example right away because I don't go back to those as much. I tend to play the ones that are still playable, right? But there's
Rage.
What's that?
Primal
Rage. Even the original Mortal Kombat games, I have a real hard time going back to. I didn't play those a ton. Justice League Task Force is just like dull now. I liked that when I was a kid. I'm just thinking of fighters right now because DJ said a fighter, and then I've also been in fighting game mode. Yeah. But yeah, like a lot of those like licensed 2D platformers were real phoned in, and I loved at the time. But like there's a game on Genesis called Buster's Hidden Treasure that I loved when I was a kid, and I still occasionally will go back to that game, but there's not as much variety as I remember, and it's shorter than I remember. I guess I just wasn't as good at it back then, and so it took longer, so it felt longer, but yeah, I could think about it. Oh, and then there's games that are just too friggin' hard. Where it's difficult to get the kind of enjoyment that I remember having when I was a kid, because I just didn't expect to get very, very far, and now I'm just like, Earthworm Jim doesn't have to be this hard, does it? Like, I can't play that game. Like, I try and I just cannot get anywhere. So, like, it's great, but I can't, but I also miss games of that ilk being challenging also, so it's a catch-22.
Here we go from John Ty is killing me tonight with his super chats. He says,
"Is he still talking about this?"
No, that
was a different guy, wasn't it?
No, that was him, but this is him.
Oh, that was him. Okay, sorry.
A different first question.
Okay.
He says, $5 super chat. Do you like the idea of sweatshorts being a clothing item?
I don't know. Thanks for the super chat, but I don't know why we're talking about like exercise clothes or just like I have no dog in this fight. I'm not a fashion guy. Like in my perfect world, people would dress up more again. I wish that we were a little bit closer to what it was in like the 50s, sort of, but not all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with more casual than back then, but I wish for certain events we dressed up. I kind of wish, I didn't even really live through, you dress up to go to the movie theater. I kind of wish like people had, a little bit more self-respect and wanted to look nice when they went out. I wish we had that. But beyond that, I don't care. I don't know. I don't care about that, about sweatshorts. It's fine. It's not a thing I've ever, like, when you say that, I'm not even sure if I'm thinking of the same garment you are. Like, this is not a thing I've, like, noticed or paid attention to. Like, yeah, okay, so people wear sweatpants that are cut off somewhere. I don't care. In this day and age, everybody dresses so casually, who cares?
Don't ever change.
I guess certain people it could look, not as good on as other people, but like
I have a couple pair of sweatshorts. I just wear them around the house though because they're comfy. They're comfier than regular shorts. Anyway,
other people are super chatting about sweatpants now. What has happened to this show? We have derailed. This is what happens when you broadcast on a Tuesday. Somebody earlier on social media was like, "Cap, don't do it on a Tuesday. You didn't get any views last time." I did an April Fool's Day joke last week where I pretended like we did a show on a Tuesday and nobody showed up. They're like, "You're crazy. Why would you do it on a Tuesday?"
Well, here we go. John Ty with another question.
Oh, thanks, man.
This one is another super chat. He says, "Why is Dino Thunder your favorite Power Ranger season?"
Because of nostalgia, and then in the first place, it was also because of nostalgia, but other reasons also. So, like, when it came on, it was a big deal that Jason David Frank was coming back, and then it was even a bigger deal that he morphed, because he was kind of the Zordon for that show, and he certainly didn't expect that this, like, 30-something-year-old guy, that was unprecedented. Now it's not so weird, we've done it a few times, but back then, it was like, they make a big point of it in that episode, where he's like, yeah, you're never too old to morph, and I was like, that's amazing. Like that he's got no shame. Like he pulls out a morpher. He won't say ha. That's where he draws the line when he morphs. He won't say ha. But I thought that was so cool. And that show was more self-aware than Power Rangers had ever been at that point, where it would make fun of the fact that everybody has to wear the same color. Or like at the end of that episode where he gets the black stone and he morphs. At the end he goes, well, now I've got to go out and shop because I have a severe lack of black in my wordrobe. And I was like, that's great. That's such a good line. And they made fun of the formula that you also always have a giant monster. And Power Rangers that I had seen had never been quite that self-aware before. So there was that, and then the aesthetic of that show was fun, and it was closer to real storytelling than we had in Power Rangers before. So like we've done even better told stories in overarching seasons since then, absolutely. But that kind of remains my favorite, besides Zeo to some degree. But yeah, and also Zeltrax
and Mexico. Bag
Ah,
Studios, what's
awesome.
the most awestruck you've ever been by a movie, book, and or place? And he gives us 3 in this one super chat, so that's the first one.
Wow, okay. Most awestruck by I gotta answer all 3 of those?
No, he gives us 3 questions. I've only read the first question.
I know, but did that say or and?
Or.
Movie, book, or play. Did it say or and?
It says and/or.
Oh, really?
So
okay. Yeah.
It can be or.
So I can just answer one, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm stalling right now because I'm trying to come up with a really good one. But in the theater, I was, and I know not everybody likes this movie, but like I was so blown away by Watchmen in the theater. It's an experience that still sits with me, and it's part of the reason that I love that movie so much.
I thought you were gonna say Days of Future Past.
Well, Days of Future Past too, yeah, no, of course. That was less awestruck and more just, like, tugging on my heartstrings, man. Like, just as far as, like, grand spectacle, when I was a kid, the big one for me was, and this is not, like, a good movie story-wise by any stretch, but I was there, I was 12, I was exactly the right age for this movie. I was there for Independence Day. And that was a big deal, because the effects in that movie, we had never seen anything look that real when it came to an alien invasion before, and just the kind of the grand tone and kind of ambiance of that movie, that's an experience that still sits with me. But anyway, I could talk about other things, but we need to move on. So what else did he?
His second question.
There?
Why did Constantinople get the works?
Well, that's nobody's business but the Turks. All right, move on. Sorry, that was a trivia question before it was an actual question.
Who truly did let the dogs out? This is his third question.
My wife at lunch, because they have to go out at noon and then they have to go out again around 5:30. Okay, what else you got?
Well,
you know what?
Well done, sir. I didn't think you were going to have an answer for that.
Some of these deeply personal questions. Anyway.
All right, TH1 gives us a super chat. You like Mountain Dew? Have you tried Mountain Lightning? It's got stronger taste and makes Mountain Dew taste watered down. Keep up the good work. Me and my son love your channel.
Oh, thanks so much. Who was that again?
T-Edge1.
T-Edge1. So I want to preface this by saying I don't drink Mountain Dew anymore, and I haven't for going on 10 months now. I gave it up for a year a few years ago, and then I had one at a party, and I just went nuts, and because I have a problem with Mountain Dew. It is an alcoholic level addiction, and that's no joke. I don't have this with alcohol at all. With soda, it's a problem, and I have cut it out completely. I've had to, because that kidney stone was the worst thing ever. So, as much as I miss the taste of Mountain Dew, I can't have it anymore. To actually answer the question, yes, I have had Mountain Lightning, and you're right. I don't like it as well, but it's sweeter, but it's kind of too sweet, was always my issue with Mountain Lightning. But I want to move on, because this is a thing I have a difficult time even talking about without craving it, so.
All right. We have another super chat from Nicholas. Thanks,
yeah.
Nicholas. Favorite response to questions about sweatpants?
I mean, the only response we've heard about sweatpants tonight have been my own, where I just fumbled around for an answer. I can't think of other things people have said about sweatpants, so I don't understand this. I don't know what happened.
This. Please keep trolling.
No, don't say it. Don't say that. Because I don't have anything clever to say about this. DJ, do people have... Why is this coming up? Do you have any idea? Like, is there...
Big coronavirus scare. Sweatpants are the cure.
I feel like there's a joke I'm missing here.
I think it's just to make you feel awkward.
Oh, okay. Is this a thing people make fun of all the time? Is that the new thing where just sweatpants?
No,
Sweatpants?
I think John Ty was just genuinely curious about your opinions on sweat shorts, and then people are just running with it.
Well, and John, I didn't mean to come off frustrated or anything. I just really don't know how to answer that. And you gave me a super chat. I wanted to give you a good answer, but I don't have anything on sweatpants.
All right. Oh, good. We have one more.
Honestly, I don't like tight-fitting clothing, so I don't find sweatpants to be any more comfortable than other kinds of pants, and certain of them can be kind of itchy, so I kind of go out of my way to not wear them if I can help it.
Interesting. So there you go. A personal tidbit. That's great.
I guess I should have said that earlier, but it seemed like we were talking about other people wearing them, and you started with sweat shorts? And I got nothing on shorts. Me personally, DJ, I don't wear shorts. I don't like them. Like, with a burning passion, I don't like shorts.
I didn't wear any when you were here, and it was really hot. Actually, it was pretty cool.
I won't do it. I don't like it.
Well, it's like in the 80s right now, so you kind of have to wear shorts if you live here.
No, you don't.
Reptile Dude 21. Let's change the subject. Another clothing-related question.
Oh my god.
With superheroes being so popular right now, do you think capes will come back into fashion? Thanks for the show.
What a great question. No. Is the answer to that. Probably not. One thing to keep in mind is that people at the moment still seem to, for the most part, separate regular clothes from costumes. So it has become less, there's less of a stigma attached, and you're less likely, even as a kid, to get punched in the face if you wear a superhero costume or a sci-fi costume or something. Now that's kind of, people have fun with that. It's not silly like it used to be. But to just go around in public with that as a fashion statement, probably not. And part of that is because, again, we're so casual now that, even the cape, I think, is too much of a formal thing to just wear around, DJ. It's an extra thing that you have to put on. And, you'd only wear it to look dressed up, I would think. So, yeah, I don't think that would happen. Also, there are still more popular superheroes without capes than with capes. So if anything was going to become in vogue, from superhero costumes that became a regular thing people wore, I don't think it would be the cape.
Maybe we'll just start wearing spray paint on our faces.
I was like, Monocles?
Someone actually is talking about monocles and canes in the chat to go with their capes. Where are we? Cap.
What? I mean, hi.
ERS. What are your thoughts on the new Batman Adventures? Did you like the redesigns?
No, I've never liked the redesigns, and I get in fights with people, not fights, but I argue with friends all the time.
Does it matter who starts the fights?
It does, yeah. If they start it, then they can't get upset with me for being passionate when they're all when somebody brings that up and they're like, isn't that a great show? And I'm like, I mean, it's fine, but I don't like the designs. There are some wonderful episodes of that show. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad that they got to make more episodes, but I wish Warner's, with the mandates they threw at them, I think Bruce Timm and his team did the best job they possibly could with that. But, like, Warner's went, we want a really kiddie show from you guys. And they're like, well, we don't do that. That's like, not what we do. So we'll make, designs that you'll like, but we're then going to tell some of the darkest stories we've ever told on this show, which I love that they did that. It basically trolled Warner, but they were like, okay, if you want a little kid in a Robin outfit, we will give you that, but we're going to give you really dark, we're going to give you over the edge. Like, which is an episode we would not have probably done on an animated series. Like, we're gonna give you that. We're gonna do the episode with the opposite of Fear Gas, where everybody loses their inhibitions and just starts throwing themselves off of buildings in the show that's supposed to be the cuter and more for kids show. So I love that, but I never cared for the redesigns. I think they're too blocky. I think Gordon looks like he has cancer. Most of the designs on that I don't care for. And you can't take away the ice cream cone head. That was a staple.
All right. Next up is quite possibly my favorite questions ever been asked on the show, and I encourage you all to ask more questions like this. T-Edge1, favorite and least favorite yellow insects?
Real quick, I will say, because people are talking about different designs in that show. I mean, overall, I don't care for the just the overall design of the models. I do. Somebody mentioned Scarecrow. I like his design a lot. It's really scary looking. Their redesign for Riddler is awful. So it just depends on who we're talking about. Joker, their redesign for Catwoman is fine. It's more generic. Like, I actually like the animated series Catwoman design. A lot of people don't, but then there was another one I was going to mention, but I forget what. And we got to do the rapid fire thing. I forgot what you just asked.
Favorite and least favorite yellow insects.
Yellow insects. I'm not a big fan of bees. Because they sting you. But I've still never been stung by a bee. 35 years. I don't know what that feels like. I've never been stung by a bee. Isn't that crazy?
It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good, especially when a yellow jacket gets up your pants and stings you on the.
Is that why you got to wear sweatpants? Quad. So they're so they can't go up them?
You gotta. Well, I don't know. That's why sweat shorts would come in handy, because they wouldn't be able to get stuck up there.
Sure. Name other yellow insects.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, there are insects that I'm just thinking yellow butterflies over other I don't.
Okay, so yeah, butterflies is favorite, bees is least favorite.
Is this the show where we have officially run out of material? Is
no,
this
we got
the
a lot
show?
Of questions. We got a lot of questions.
We do. Yes, but what is the quality of said questions? Really, is the question. That's all right. Good.
John Ty, what movies that are critically good, but you don't care for?
Yeah. So I mean, there are lots of answers to that question. And there are a lot. I need time. This is hard to just pull out of my head real fast. There are movies that fall in that category, and then there are movies where I'm like, it's critically acclaimed, and I guess I just don't get it, or it wasn't for me, and I don't have the right experiences to really appreciate it, right? There are some, stoner comedies and things like that I guess are good for those kinds of things, but, I just don't get it. It's not funny to me, that kind of thing. I'm trying to think of a really good answer to this, because there's a bunch of them, but I'm just blinking because we're trying to do the rapid fire thing.
I mean, people are mentioning Thor Ragnarok in the chat. That's a big one. It's got a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience is crazy.
I didn't think that was the question, though. I thought the question was movies that I don't care for, but recognize that they work. Is he just saying that are like critically liked, but I don't like them? I didn't think that was the question.
Yeah, the question was what movies that are critically good but you don't care for.
Yeah, he said critically good. That is different from critically liked. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there are movies that if I'm being critical about it, I thought this was the question. If I'm being critical about it, I get that it's a good film, but I don't enjoy watching it. I thought that was the question.
Yeah, that's good. That's probably what he meant.
And there's things like that Vietnam movie that I always bring up. That's always my big Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now is like that. That is a brilliant film that I really don't want to ever have to sit through again. Because it just, like, I couldn't sleep for 2 days after I saw that movie. There's a lot of things like that, just like really super depressing things.
Cool. All right, we have exhausted the super chats. I'm gonna jump back to pre-written. Here's a quick one.
Yeah. See, there's others like Solar Dragon. I get that like District 9 was critically liked. I don't think that's a good movie. I think just like hands down, I don't think that movie is actually a good movie. You know, so there's things like that. But yeah.
This is from.
No, I know. I'm not doing well with the rapid fire right now. I'm gonna vindicate that guy from earlier. Go ahead.
This is from Hamza. Have you seen Knives Out? That's a quick one.
I still haven't. Yeah. I will sit down and watch that at some point. And thanks for reminding me. Go ahead.
There are particular.
Ooh, Solar Dragon. Clockwork Orange would probably be on that list if I could finish it. But I watched 15 minutes and I couldn't do it. Like, I just couldn't deal with that movie. It was really hard to watch.
From Rohith Dari. Is there a particular DC Comics story arc or comic that you want to see adapted into an animated film under DC Animation?
Yeah, this has been coming up a whole lot lately. We've done so many of them now, and not well, the majority of them, that I get, like, really trepidatious to see that done. I think there are a couple of events that I think could be kind of fun to go back and try. Like, I think Blackest Night could be interesting as an animated movie. Like, it would probably just be mostly punching, but, like, it's a neat aesthetic. I think that could be cool. Let me think. I mean, I know I have my mind is suddenly blanking right now, DJ. Because I think I lost my rhythm because of the sweatpants. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I like to see Blackest Night done. Go ahead.
All right. From a super chat from OAW Entertainment. Hey Cap, what's your favorite Smallville episode? Mine is Reckoning from season 5.
Yeah, that's a good one. I have a hard time not getting away from Rosetta, which I guess is like everybody's, most people's favorite Smallville episode. That's the first Christopher Reeve episode, and it's just wonderful. I think probably my all-time favorite though is Perry, which is the same. Is that the same season after? Yeah, their Perry White episode is just delightful.
Cool. From Nutale, do you think the New Gods film will compare to Eternals?
Yeah, Black Mirror could really work as one of those. I agree with that. I'm sorry, what was that about Eternals?
Do you think the New Gods movie will compare to Eternals? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about Eternals is the thing, as a thing. So it may. I don't know if Eternals is more of a magic thing or more of a cosmic thing, or if that kind of ends up going hand in hand. I just don't know anything about that property.
Yeah, I don't know anything about either.
Which I have intentionally. Madman Ryan is also a great Smallville episode. I have intentionally stayed away from knowing too much about that because I kind of want to go into that movie cold. I always know so much about this stuff before I go in. It would be fun to go into a Marvel movie not knowing the property at all. A lot of people had that with Guardians, and I knew a little bit about Guardians, so I didn't get to have that with that.
Hamza, I don't know if he was asking this for us, but he said the DCU should just reboot, shouldn't it? Which is a question, so I'm counting.
The DCU? Did you mean in comics or the DCEU?
DCEU. The films.
The films? They sort of kind of already have. So we've talked about this a lot, but I don't agree with that if you mean let's start completely from scratch, because there's too many things that are actually working, or at least were really well liked by people. So, I mean, like, I know some people really hate the Aquaman movie, and some people really like it. I think it's a lot of fun, so I'm totally cool with more stuff in that universe. Like, I don't want to see that rebooted. I don't want to see Wonder Woman rebooted. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be awkward forever if we keep going with this, but I think it's kind of a necessary evil at the moment to not fully reboot.
One from Utale. Did you see the second Soul and Black Widow trailers?
No, actually, I did not.
Cool. Well,
Yeah,
that's an answer to the question.
I just
So I'm
didn't
gonna-
feel the need to, talk about that second Black Widow trailer, so I didn't look at it. Like, obviously, I'm going to see that, and I was curious to see what the aesthetic would look like. But beyond that, I may end up accidentally seeing it, but I'm not going out of my way.
This is from Marith again. Which comic book writer writes your definitive take on Batman? I.e., which writer writes Batman the way you see Batman in your mind?
Generally speaking, Paul Dini. He's got misses, and I've not read his entire run, and he does different pockets, but especially Paul Dini when he's doing animated series type stuff, or when he's doing when he's doing the Batman games, the Arkham games. Yeah, generally it's him. Like, some people are more Morrison people, and of course, they had runs at the same time, and were thought of as doing almost opposite things. So you're either a Dini person or a Morrison person. I'm a Dini person before I'm a Morrison person.
All right, John Ty puts in another super chat. Why can't comic book fans get over the fact that Hank Pym, sorry, Hank Pym, he wrote Pym, hits his wife because other superheroes have done bad things too?
I think at the time it was kind of unheard of, and it was before we got into the constant trend of deconstructing superheroes and of wanting to see heroes that were more relatable, in the sense that they're trying to be heroes, but at the end of the day, they're maybe not actually really heroic. And it's one of those things, sort of like I was talking about last week with Kareem when we reviewed Identity Crisis, where a lot of people didn't want, thought that sort of thing was ruining comic books. I think it was kind of more about the overarching, what does this do to comic stories in the industry, before it was throwing that character himself specifically under the bus.
We got a super chat just came in from Reptile Dude.
Professor
21.
Zoom, yeah, Peter hit Mary Jane during the Clone Saga. That's true. I think that book was just, or that event rather, was so wildly hated anyway that it was really easy for people to just sort of ignore that happened. There was a real shark jumping kind of place that we had there. But anyway.
Here's two more questions on a super chat from Reptile Dude 21.
Thanks,
Favorite
man.
holiday is one.
Christmas, with Halloween a close second.
Cool. And then the second one, what temp is your thermostat set to?
I don't actually know the answer to that right now because I've not looked at it today. We have to turn off the heat when I shoot down here because the heater is right across from me and it gets loud and it would drown me out. So every time I go look at it, it's lower than it should be. But generally speaking, probably somewhere around 71, 72.
Cool.
It's such a deeply personal question.
I mean, he's all up in your business. So TH1 just gives us another super chat.
Wow,
but I don't understand. I can't tell if it's supposed to be two different questions. I'm just going to read it straight with no punctuation as it is presented to me. Thoughts on the movie Bicentennial Man? Do you like green?
I don't know what "do you like green" means. Green? Green. Bicentennial Man is a really super sappy Robin Williams movie that I think that's Bicentennial Man, right? That I remember liking when it came out. I think that's that movie. And then watched again as an adult and was like, oh, this doesn't work at all. It's just a bad script. It's not anything like as sophisticated as it tries to present itself as. It's kind of emotionally manipulative too.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, you're talking about it. It's the robot movie. That's the right movie. And I guess, do you like green is his second question.
Oh, just the color green? I mean, I'm not against it. I'm not against the color green. I don't wear a lot of green. I don't think green looks great on me.
I don't have a lot of green either. I think I only have one green shirt.
Occasionally. Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
I like it on a Power Ranger. I think green looks good in a Power Ranger suit.
Yeah, I like the Samurai Ranger and Ninja Storm. Have you seen Jeremy John's review of Star Trek Picard?
No, I don't watch his channel. I have seen his videos before, and I think he's pretty good, but I just don't watch a lot of review channels.
What kind of story, from Carl Maxey, can you expect if you read a crossover comic with Daredevil, Nightcrawler, and Ghost Rider? Very specific.
I don't know. Something very religious.
That's true.
It would have to deal a great deal with beliefs and the supernatural.
Yeah,
pretty clearly.
All three of those.
I would assume that would be the reason you put them together in the first place. So I'm just stating the obvious, I guess. But
it might have been a complete accident. That was cool.
Yeah. I think if I were telling that story, I would take the three of them to hell. It would be a descent into hell with those three.
Cool. A little Mephisto action. Mutale asks, is it better... Which is a better future for Batman? Cap, Dark Knight Returns, or Batman Beyond?
Dark Knight Returns or Batman Beyond. Interesting. Wow. That's a great question. I've never thought of that before, and here's why. Okay, I honestly want to just applaud the question and not even answer it. It's almost unanswerable, right? Because they're both kind of dystopian in their ways, and both are subtle enough about it. You've got some kind of like 1984 stuff going on in both of those. One of them is, I just thought of this, one of them is more about kind of government issues, and the other one is more about is more about business. So like we've got huge issues with kind of business taking over in one, and maybe that's also happening in Dark Knight Returns. I don't remember, but the bigger issue there is just like inept government. But yeah, which of those would you rather live in? I don't know. I think they're both pretty bad, and also looking eerily potentially accurate. Man, that's really difficult. I don't know. I guess I'm going to say the Batman Beyond future is not as bad, but I think it might be. I think it might actually be.
Okay, we just got another super chat from Reptile Dude 21. Thanks again, man.
You shocked me with that question. That was really good.
He just says, what was the last comic you read, and did you enjoy it?
The last comic I read was I'm trying to think if I did anything since the last review. So no, the last thing I read was Identity Crisis, and I did not like Identity Crisis. I haven't read anything in a few days, and I used to love that book. Anyway, I talked about this for an hour and 6 minutes, so you can check out that video. But I haven't read anything since then because I've been working on this fighting game. I also read some Star Trek comics last week that were just fine. Anyway.
I'm sad. When you bring back the X-Men to the MCU, should they change Wolvie's backstory? That's from Big Blue Boy Scout.
What part of it are we talking about? Do you just mean like should they go from total scratch so that it can be? It would be kind of fun, if Wolverine showed up and it was a mystery, and everybody goes, we know what the mystery is. What is the point of doing a mystery with Wolverine? And then when we finally reveal it, it's like, no, it wasn't that. Or if you play it as a mystery forever, like we tried to do originally in the Claremont stuff, and then we never actually did Origin. We never told you what it was. Maybe we give you whatever Weapon X is. But yeah, I mean, I think you gotta have Weapon X with Wolverine. I would hate to lose that. I wouldn't mind losing Origin. I think that's fine. I would love something more traditional and just kind of lose the bone claw thing now. Lose the Origin thing. I don't think we need that.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. It's a quick question, but I know you don't like these ones. But Mutale says, what actor do you want to see play Moon Knight?
Oh, that's only because I'm terrible at them. In the moment, I always blank, because I just don't keep up with current actors as well as some of the rest of you guys do. I'm just not the film buff. Like Connor could probably do this all day long, and I'm just not real good at it. The problem is I focus so much on superhero movies that the pool that I have to draw from is mostly people that are already playing superheroes. And so so yeah, I don't know. And also, I like no-namers in superhero parts. I don't really want to know them, generally speaking. Because I just find that kind of distracting at first. Like it ultimately, if it's the right casting, it's the right casting. But yeah, I don't know right away. Just nothing's jumping at me.
Well, we just got another super chat from John Ty. Thanks again. He says, oh, sorry, another one just came in and bumped that out of the way.
Another one bites the dust.
This is all he says. Did you not know that after Identity Crisis, Batman created Brother Eye?
So that was a blind spot for me. A couple people left comments in that video and were like, I can't believe you didn't bring up this thing and didn't talk about the connection between that and Infinite Crisis. I didn't remember that stuff. I read Infinite Crisis once and it was a million years ago. And I didn't realize that about Brother Eye. So yeah, I mean, I go into some of these things in a vacuum where if I got Eric with me, we're talking more about the history of it because he just has an encyclopedic knowledge of that stuff. And if I'm reviewing on my own with somebody that doesn't know it any better than I do, then that stuff's not going to come up because I'm not going to spend all day researching it to talk about it. I mean, most of what I do is, discussing the story I'm looking at. And then if I happen to know that stuff, then we can have a deeper discussion about the larger, the issues at large, I guess, in the universe. But this has been the way I have learned about comics for the last decade, is just sitting down and talking about them. So some videos are going to be more informed than others, but no, I did not know that.
All right, and we have another super chat from Hawk Flame. Have you read a lot of Golden Age comics, and do you think the stories will work today?
I mean, generally speaking, no. Although I don't necessarily want it done like again, Identity Crisis, where it's like, well, we're gonna explain the real world way that people can. That superheroes are able to keep their secret identities from people. They just wipe everyone's memories. So yeah, I think it can be fun to try, to do Golden Age type stories, but with a little bit more sophistication. But no, I've not read a ton of Golden Age. No, I mean, I find that stuff kind of difficult sometimes to go back to. Are you freaking out about James Franco's Moon Knight?
No, I'm freaking out about how much time do we have left? Because we have completed 51. I just did a tally.
Oh my goodness, really? We've got like 3 minutes left from when I.
All right, we're gonna break the record
because we've been broadcasting for an hour, but I had about 3.5 minutes of preamble.
Okay, perfect. Another super chat from Reptile Dude 21. Thoughts on Batman, Venom, and Knightfall stories?
Thoughts on
and Knightfall.
Batman, Venom, and Knightfall. Well, I have done a review on Venom. That was years ago. I liked it a lot, actually. That's a wonderfully moody story and really intense. Watching Batman kind of lose his mind for a minute on that substance. And I thought it was just wonderful starting with Venom before you get to Bane, where Batman deals with the drug before you actually get to Bane. I didn't know that before I read that story. And Knightfall, I've never read all of. I was doing a series on Knightfall for a while, which was a follow-up to Spawn Year, which I've just not finished. And at this point, we'll have to either find a creative way to come back to or reboot when and if I get back to it. So I may at some point, if it doesn't look like that's in the cards for a while, finally just sit down and do a couple or a few videos on Knightfall and just like sit down in a chair and talk about it on the Vault. But overall, I like that story a lot. What I mean is I haven't read every issue. Like I've read the novelization. So like I know the overarching story of that, but there's some of the individual like separate one-offs and chapters I don't know. There's some really silly, goofy stuff in Knightfall. Don't get me wrong, but I think it is a really great character piece for Batman, pushing him to the edge and seeing just how far he can push his principle of basically try to act like a god even though I know I'm a man. Just ignore the fact that I am mortal. How far can you really take that? And it's I think the best exploration we've had of that.
All right, we're gonna beat this record, despite you trying to get him off track with a Batman question.
Yeah, sorry.
TH1, tallest person you've ever met and shortest.
Wow. I think the tallest person I've ever met, I'm trying to remember his name. The guy who played Claw, the Klingon in Star Trek V. He was really super tall. I met him at a con once. There might be somebody a little taller than him. I can't remember, but he's a really super tall guy. He was probably 6'8", 6'9". I don't think I've ever met anybody any taller than that. Shortest? There was a little person that lived in a couple blocks away from us at the old house that we met going trick-or-treating last year, and I've told that story.
Oh yeah, you did tell that
story
about
how Freddy freaked out because he was a small guy and he was very confused, and he said something that came off mean, And it was really kind of funny, actually. But anyway, yeah, that's probably the shit. But I mean, I met a few little people in my life, but I don't think you get much smaller than that as an adult anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, you didn't measure him. John Ty, what's your favorite Batman villain besides the Joker?
I mean, I want to say Clock King, but it's not. It's the Riddler.
Great choice. All right, Joshua. We're getting an influx of super chats all of a sudden.
Okay, so we are officially at time. Let me say that. So I'll answer some more, but where we're at right now is the official number. So is it 54 or is it 55?
I don't know. Let me count that while I give you these super chats, because I had to space these out. So these
cool.
two
Thanks,
will not count for the tally, but we'll answer them. Why isn't there any horror for kids anymore? This is from Josh Gulisano.
Great question. Yeah, because we've just got variety issues in this country, man. It's all or nothing. It's either completely kiddie. This is not wholly true, but this is what it feels like a lot of the time. By and large, it's either wholly kiddie or completely for adults. We don't have anything in between much of the time. I'm sure that there are, teen fiction series and stuff still, but as far as like TV and, when we were kids, like, at least, people my age, Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps and things like that, scary stories to tell in the dark. Yeah, we don't have as much stuff like that anymore, it seems to me. But also, I'm a little out of touch. I'm not a kid. I mean, I have kids, but, Jason reads a lot of, like, current, kid lit, and there's a little bit of that there. But as far as movies and TV, you're right. I don't see a lot of that.
All right, still counting. I'm going to read the last super chat to you. Oh, we just got another one too. This is from So You Want to Be an Imagineer. And any chance...
That's a great name. Cool.
Any chance you could put chapter time codes in edible states? I'm loving it, but don't want to flood the comments with my own time codes. I saw some people doing that, leaving bookmarks.
Okay, so section. I apologize about the timestamp thing. Here's the deal. The version on Patreon has timestamps. The reason the version on YouTube doesn't is because Bag Studios sent me a few timestamps where I had made some slight mistakes that I needed to edit, and I didn't realize that until just before I was going to post it, and I didn't have time to go back through and redo the timestamps for the entire thing. So if you're a patron and currently on Patreon, you'll have the timestamps. Everybody on YouTube does not currently have that. So yeah, I mean, I guess I could take the time and sit down and do it. I wasn't sure that people would even feel the need to have that with it being a YouTube video and it saves your plays. That's why I wasn't really in a hurry on it. I was kind of waiting for somebody to mention it. Now somebody's mentioned it, so I don't know. Maybe I'll go in and do it. If somebody wants to volunteer to do that, I would like super really appreciate it. But if not, I will see if I can carve out some time to do that.
All right, I'm gonna get to your super chats, but I have it tallied. And we did it. We barely did it. We only got 53. I had a couple numbers that had skipped, so I retallied it. It's exactly 53.
We did it by one.
We just beat it.
Goodness.
That is exhausting.
Man.
That is difficult.
It is. Well, and it doesn't help that, like, I don't know, I try too hard, Like, I'll be like, I know I'm trying to go rapid fire, but I don't think I've given it a good enough answer, And I feel like it shouldn't count if I suck.
It shouldn't count as an answer. Well, here you go. Here's a question.
Like, does it count? Does it count as toward the official tally if I go?
Well, here you go. You can run away with this one from John Ty. Super chat, $5. How does one deal with rejection from the person they like?
I mean, it's certainly not easy. We've all experienced this at one time in our lives, either with somebody that we're romantically interested in, or a platonic friendship. And I'm speaking for myself. I of course in my life have had both of those things happen. I'm sure most of us have had that too. With both. I think the most important thing, and I'm a broken record, this is the Mr. Rogers answer, but I think it's the right one. The first thing to always keep in mind is that just because someone else just because you and someone else don't want the same things doesn't make your feelings invalid. It's always about what you do with those feelings, right? So don't feel like you've done something wrong because you want something that someone else can't give you, or vice versa. That's the first thing. Now, after you've allowed yourself to feel the feelings you have to decide what you're going to do with those feelings. And the right choice is never smother a person and try to force them to do what you want. It's never the, try to get the genie to make Jasmine fall in love with you. Like, that's not the answer. And it's, the cliche thing to tell a person is there's other fish in the sea, and that is, and that's true with both romance and friendships. But that's not the time to say that. The reason that's always a bad answer, there's other fish in the sea, is that at the moment you don't care about that, and you're not going to. Yeah. And you're not going to right now. And you have to just let yourself feel the way you're going to feel. You got to let yourself mourn. It is in microcosm, in a smaller way, like a death. It's like dealing with somebody who died. The relationship has died. And when you're talking about, like a breakup or something, or somebody who's decided they don't want to be friends with you anymore, when you're talking about just, I want to ask this person out and they say no, it shouldn't hopefully affect you as deeply, although if it's somebody that you're friends with and that you were, cooking up the courage to talk to for the longest time, and you finally do, and it's a rejection, it could be that bad, and that's okay. At some point you do of course have to move on, and I think that is always the time for exercise before ice cream, for doing something as opposed to being sedentary and sitting around and not doing anything, or sleeping constantly. So like feeling depressed is different than wallowing in depression, if that makes any sense. The best thing you can do for yourself is something, anything to distract yourself after the initial oh my god, that sucks, and like it, so anyway.
No, that was awesome. I'm really glad that came in after the cutoff, because you got to give a really great answer for that.
Thanks, man. Did you have anything to add?
I would just recommend that you guys listen to Cap and Vince's podcast, Geeks Not Nerds, on relationships, because that was a great podcast. I remember that one. I
don't even remember doing that.
Yeah, you and Sarah did a video on geeky relationships, and then Vince wanted to do like a follow-up, and you guys did a podcast about it. It was really good.
Cool. I hope it was good. I don't remember doing that.
I remember it, and it was great.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Carl Maxey, Cash Logan is everyone's dad. I mean, I feel more comfortable answering things like that now than I would have like 10 years ago when I started. And I don't want to come off like, I'm I think I'm an expert or a therapist or something, but I've had a little bit of life experience. And there's certain things that'll come up where I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, you don't have to agree with me, but like, I have an opinion on this. This is my answer. This is what I think you ought to do. Blue Dragon 5, get that man a sweater. Anyway, okay, so that's everything? Are we done?
We are good. All the super chats are clear.
Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I hope you had a good time. We're going to cut it off at just an hour tonight. We're going to be back again with you on Thursday for another one. I don't know if it's going to be a Four Horsemen show yet. I haven't heard from Dan, and Brandon should be here at least for After Dark, but I don't know if he'll be here for 7 o'clock. So anyway, After Dark show this week also for the patrons. So lots of fun live stuff. Look forward to that later on this week. Quick plug once again for Morphin Mania. DJ and I have started recording more of those, and we're going to be getting to the new episodes in the not-too-distant future. He has just started uploading the Zeo episodes, and we started recording again around, episode 35?
Yeah, well, let me say this real quick. If you're not a big Power Rangers fan, the movie podcast, so the movie review commentary with me, Cap, and Eric is dropping tomorrow morning. So it's a movie,
you, me, and Eric for half of it. He came in halfway through that one, if memory serves.
That's right. He did come back from work, but it was really great. It was a great viewing of that movie. So check it out on the Morphin Mania channel.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Anyway, what's up?
No, I was just gonna say, and then Zia will follow after that.
I may be back later tonight if I feel like it streaming. If not, I might do something tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of playing it by ear, but we'll definitely be back on Thursday. And thanks everybody so much for showing up tonight. Wasn't sure what kind of a crowd we'd have. I didn't know if rapid fire was a good idea on a different off night like this. But this worked out really super well and is more fuel for my fire of maybe making the Captain Logan show regularly a twice a week thing. Now, please keep in mind that I'm gonna have to go on hiatus here in a week. DJ, my surgery is in 8 days. That's just about to happen. No, 7 days. It's on the 14th. So 1 week from today, actually. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's awesome, man.
You know what? It's funny. I said maybe 2 shows next week. I'm dumb. There won't be any shows next week because that is on Tuesday. I keep thinking it's later in the week. I keep thinking it's Thursday or Friday. But it won't be. So, probably no Captain Logan show next week, actually, but we'll have another one this week for you, and then I'll come back as soon as I'm feeling up to it. I don't know how long it's going to take to recover from that, because I've never had surgery on my kidney. So I can't tell you what that's like.
That's a good thing to be able to say. You'll be able to say that after this.
I won't a week from now. Yeah, exactly. All right, well, thanks, folks. We'll see you again next time. I was Captain Logan. This was DJ Marquez.
It's me.
Later on, everybody.